So there's this big story making waves across various platforms. You might have heard it online, on social media, or even from friends. People are shouting about something called white genocide, and it's causing quite a stir. They say it's happening in South Africa, a country with a complex history. This is the claim being made, and it's spreading fast. It's a very serious accusation, hey? One that demands attention and scrutiny. It gets a lot of attention, both online and offline. This narrative is pushed hard by some prominent people, amplifying its reach. Like former US President Donald Trump, who has a massive following. Even Elon Musk, who grew up in South Africa, has weighed in on the issue. And various far-right groups globally have latched onto this narrative. They use it to paint a scary picture of South Africa, filled with violence and chaos. Because of these loud alarms, the US government actually took action. They granted refugee status to some Afrikaners citing persecution, at least 49, maybe more. These individuals claimed they were being targeted. They said they were fleeing violence and land seizures aimed specifically at them. The US State Department was quiet about how this fast track happened, raising questions. But it happened, make no mistake. The process was expedited. This all makes for massive headlines, capturing global attention. Suddenly, South Africa is in the news and everyone is talking about it. Is it true? Is it not? The debate rages on. It generates a lot of heat with strong opinions on both sides. But wait a minute, hold up. Back home in Mzansi, it's different. The story sounds a bit off-key. Many South Africans are scratching heads, saying, wait, what now? The reality on the ground often doesn't match the international hype. It's a whole different conversation here. People are living their lives, mostly. Our own government officials spoke up. President Cyril Ramaphosa, for instance. He met with Trump about this. He wanted to share the actual facts to show there's no mass land grabbing and definitely no state-led genocide. John Steenhuisen, the Minister of Agriculture, he also said, nope, not happening. These are the guys on the ground. Their message is quite clear. Hey, many white Afrikaner farmers themselves, the very people supposedly targeted, they're also rejecting these claims. They say, yeah, crime is bad, but genocide, that's not it. They want to stay in South Africa. Okay, let's be absolutely straight. South Africa has a crime problem, a very, very serious crime problem. Nobody here is denying that, not one bit. It's something we live with daily. It affects everyone everywhere. It's a shadow that hangs over us, and we are all tired of it. It is a genuine national crisis. This is a fact, not fiction. But who bears the brunt of this? When you look at the statistics, the sad truth is it's often black South Africans, people living in townships in poverty. They are disproportionately the victims of murder, of assault, of robbery. This is what the police numbers show, year after year, consistently. It's a harsh reality of inequality. The most vulnerable suffer most. Crime in South Africa is sadly an indiscriminate, brutal force. Now let's talk about farms, because farm attacks are a real thing, and they are horrific, truly. Farms are often isolated places, far from neighbors, far from police. This isolation makes them soft targets for criminals looking for an easy score, or those with brutal intentions. It's a dangerous situation, no doubt. Living rurally can be very risky, and who gets attacked on these farms? The narrative often focuses on white farmers. But farmers and farm workers, both black and white, are affected. Criminals don't always make distinctions. Tobani in Tonga, a black farmer, he spoke about being attacked. He said crime hits everyone. It's about vulnerability, he explained. Perpetrators prey on that isolation. The race of these victims wasn't always specified, but it shows a mixed picture. It points to a broader rural crime issue. Section 5. The land question, a legacy of inequality. The land in South Africa, this is a massive topic. It's like the elephant in the room. That's also an actual elephant sometimes. It has a long, painful history, going back centuries through colonialism and then, of course, apartheid, where black people were systematically dispossessed of their ancestral land. This history is key to understanding today. So what does land ownership look like now, decades after apartheid officially ended? Things are still incredibly skewed, man. White South Africans make up about 7% of the population. Yet white farmers, over 40,000 of them, own around 80% of the commercial farmland. This is according to a 2017 census. And that census mostly counted big farms. Many small-scale black farmers weren't included. The imbalance is still stark. This massive inequality in land It creates social tension naturally. Section 6. Policy and Politics Navigating Land Reform. So, the South African government is trying to tackle this land issue, which has been a contentious topic for decades. They call it land reform, a term that encompasses a wide range of policies and actions. The main goal is to redress the imbalances of the past, particularly those created during the apartheid era, to ensure more black South Africans own land and participate in agriculture, which is crucial for their economic empowerment. It's about economic transformation and trying to heal old wounds, fostering a more inclusive economy. A very complex and sensitive task given the historical context and the diverse interests involved. A new land expropriation law was signed in January 2025, aiming to accelerate the process. The word expropriation sounds very dramatic and has sparked a lot of debates. It allows the state to acquire land in the public interest, it says, and for public purposes such as housing and farming. This could be for housing, for farming, or other public needs that benefit the community. But here's the thing. As of May 2025, this new law hasn't actually been used yet, raising questions about its implementation. It's on the books, but not in action, leaving many to wonder when and how it will be enforced. Now, some of the loudest claims are about violent land seizures, which have caused widespread concern, and the government just taking land without paying for it willy-nilly, which is a major fear among landowners. But the government's stated policy is expropriation with compensation, aiming to balance fairness and necessity, though the new law allows for nil compensation in very specific limited circumstances, which are yet to be clearly defined. They say they encourage voluntary sales, hoping to avoid forced expropriations. It's a long way from chaotic land grabs, aiming instead for a more orderly and just redistribution of land. Section 7. Echoes of the past, voices of the present, farmers' perspectives. Let's listen to the farmers themselves, the true custodians of the land. What are they saying on the ground? Willem de Chavon Vrucht, an Afrikaner farmer, shares his thoughts. He spoke out, and it's interesting to hear his perspective. He said, "We are not interested in going anywhere. This is our home. The thing we want to do is be part of this country, to contribute to its growth." That doesn't sound like someone fleeing genocide. It sounds like someone deeply rooted in their land. It sounds like someone committed to building a future in South Africa, despite the challenges, which is a powerful statement of resilience and hope. Willem also pointed something out that is crucial. He said crime especially hits hard. For the small-scale farmers, it's a constant threat. Those who don't have lots of money for fancy private security systems struggle the most, or armed guards patrolling their fences, leaving them exposed. This lack of resources makes them vulnerable to various threats. Whether they are black or white, the struggle is shared. It's an economic reality of farming, not just a racial one, he implies. Then there's Thabani Ntonga, another voice in this narrative. He's a black farmer in South Africa, facing his own set of challenges and triumphs. Section 8. Beyond the headlines, seeking truth in a complex narrative. So we've journeyed through this. We've heard the loud, scary claims, white genocide, mass land grabs, and then we've looked closer at the facts on the ground, the statistics from official sources, what South Africans themselves are saying. From the president to the farmers, and the picture becomes much clearer and also much more complicated. Yes, violent crime is a terrible scourge. It plagues South Africa deeply. And yes, people on farms are vulnerable. They face real dangers, serious risks. But the evidence does not support a narrative of a targeted genocide against one racial group specifically. The crisis of crime is national. It affects South Africans of all backgrounds. It's a shared pain, a shared fight. Understanding South Africa means you have to look at the context. You cannot ignore the history.